Mic check, mic check. All right, Morning Masters Podcast, your host, Maine, of course. I got a special guest with me today. I got Mr. Tyra from the Tyra's Tillman Show. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing good. I was kind of puzzled on how should I start it, but I should go straight into asking. Normally I tell a guest, well, tell about yourself. It's kind of a lazy way to do things. You just make them talk real quick, build up on that. But I was like, nah, I got this story, and I want to know if you remember. Now, I remember because I got a good memory, and then it's my first day at a certain school. Now, I went to Butler when I moved down here in 05. What's 05?
Bulldog Country.
Whatever year it was. I'm going to say 05. All right. Okay. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this. Okay. I just remember this because years later when I saw you, it was the freckles, I think, that I remember. You know what I'm saying? And then you was tall. You're not a small dude.
Right.
And you was in the guidance council office or something like that, and you were trying to leave the school for whatever reason.
That sounds like every day, but yeah.
And that's funny because it looked like everybody was fed up with you in there. Like, it's like they was fed up, but you also fed up. Because, like, how I was working was, like, she would say something and you would have a smart reply back. I'm like, what'd she do to him? She seemed very nice. You know what I'm saying? I later found out that she smoked black and mild, so she wasn't very that nice.
So you was coming in real green. Like, she's a nice lady. Yeah.
I was a country. I'm like, I'm down in the South. I had, first of all, I'm going to tell you later, but I had the worst the thought process of y'all. I thought y'all just wore, like, just jumpers and I thought that was country.
Overalls and
it was crazy.
Straw hats.
Yeah, I bought some food thinking I was gonna be better than y'all, right? And I seen people that had Jordans. I was like, ooh, think I wore my Jordans first day of school because
exactly
threw the food was away. But yeah, and she was like, well, you have to be a certain age, 18 or something like that. No, I'm sorry, I'm telling you back. She said she needs your mom's signature, and you was like, oh no, I don't need my mom's signature. I'm 18 years old, and you pretty much gave her a rundown of why you didn't need her signature.
Right.
And I was like, yo, this guy's on his game right here, man. What's going on? And I don't know what happened because I was called into the office in my schedule my first day. And I just remember that time. I kept thinking, like, dang, like, why he didn't want to be in school? Like, what happened?
School is a wonderful place, kids.
I love school.
Not want to be here?
I did love school, for real. Like, I didn't miss no days of high school. I know it sounds wild. I didn't miss no days since 6th grade. But I remember that day, and I don't know why. You remember things and you don't know why, technically speaking.
Right.
So when we did kind of have a rapport with the social media, because I still didn't know you personally, because we never like been around each other like that, nothing like that. But I didn't know of you, but I knew of you. I didn't know you, but I knew of you.
Right.
And that story always stuck in my mind. Then one day you was on town. I said, "Yo, that's where I know this guy from. This the guy that was tripping on the lady with the black and miles.
This the guy that had a diplomatic reason to leave school.
Yeah, you just wanted to leave. I'm like, what's going on? And your attitude is crazy. I was like, yo, I wonder if he's nice. You know what I'm saying? Like now, you go to be nice
again. It's a nice guy. It's Augusta. It's the country.
Nah, for real. That was a wild day. I was like, dang, that's crazy. But I remember every day from my first day, and it's like, I don't expect people to remember that day, but I remember everything from that day.
I don't remember that at all.
I remember we had a white tee on. It was a beautiful day too, man. It was a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man.
Birds chirping and you're bucking.
I just remember. I was like,
just
yo,
say
that's
no,
crazy.
kid. Stay in school.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, man. I just remember that day. But yeah, so this is Tyra's Tillman, man.
The Tyra's Tillman of the Tyra's Tillman Show. Yes.
So tell me about yourself, but tell me where the Tyra's Tillman come from.
So I've always been, the same guy that I am today. Always funny, always singing, always making people laugh. And so it's funny that, I would introduce myself, to other people as I'm the Tyra Tillman way before the show and social media and all of that. So for me, it's just kind of been who I've always kind of been, like this guy, like, of course I've met a couple other Tyruses in my life. None like me ever.
None like you.
None like me ever. Yeah. I'm the Tyra Tillman.
So what would be the difference between you and another Tyrus? You just funnier or something like that?
So, I think so, and I am the only one that has freckles. Like, one is black as hell, so, he's really black. But so that's my boy, though, but he's black as tar. So, like, but no, like, I've always been the singing Tyrus, the comedy Tyrus, way back to elementary school. Literally my entire life, like I've had all of these gifts that, I've just kind of tried to embrace, like the older I've gotten, and kind of turn it into, widespread serving of the masses of all of these gifts and all of, all that I am. So, I never think so high of myself that I'm that guy, but I think that what separates me is that I'm able to possess all of those gifts and present them differently to so many different people in a different way.
Okay. So I'm gonna touch on that, right? But I'm glad you said it that way. So what I first want to do, I want to kind of dog walk like I normally do. I kind of just walk people into about that person from young to now, right?
Right.
So what was young Tyrus like? What was his childhood like?
So I'm originally born and raised here in Augusta, Georgia. My maternal family is from Lincoln, Georgia.
Say that one time. I'm sorry. You said what? Say that one time.
So my maternal family originated from Lincoln, Georgia. So
okay.
Lincoln County, Georgia,
Real
Wilkes
country.
County,
Gotcha.
and all up in there. Yeah, up in the sticks, where we only have chimneys left when we go and reminisce on our ancestors. So I was born and raised here in Augusta. My mom and dad, they were together up till I was like 2 years old. So they divorced early in my life. So I didn't grow up in a 2-parent home. I had a lot of influences, from my maternal side of the family. All of my great aunts and great uncles. Didn't have a lot of grandparents. I literally only had one grandmother. All the others had passed before I was born. So I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. My sister and I share the same mom and dad. So we grew up in the house together. So it was just literally my mom, my sister, and me. I have 2 older brothers, thanks to my dad, because he was a Rolling Stone. He picked up and put them down everywhere. So it's 4 of us total with my dad, my mom. Shout out to Dad, the triple OG, right? Too cool for old school. Let him tell it. So born and raised here in the house with my sister and my mom. My older brothers, they were a lot older, so they were kind of here and there and everywhere. So not a lot of influences or interactions even with them when I was younger. And aside from that, I went to Winston Spring Elementary School right here on the south side, Morgan Road Middle School, and then around that time I started, getting real wild in school, terrorizing the school, middle school.
What do you mean terrorizing?
So, I was that kid that, I would do my work, get bored. The teacher, is like, all right, everybody who's done, just be quiet and stay in your desk. You never tell me that, first of all. It's like I have anxiety. Like, as soon as she say, don't move and don't talk, like, I start freaking out. Like, oh my God, what I do? It's like a dog circling the door ready to go out. Like, oh my God, let me out. Like, what's happening? So, I would get bored. And then the teacher would be like, no talking. Okay. And I turn around and I make a face at someone. The whole class will erupt in laughter, right? So now the teacher's super pissed. And she's like, Tyrus. I'm like, I didn't do anything, which I really didn't. But, made a face. Everybody erupted in laughter. She'll be like, get out. No, I don't want to get out. If I get out, what I'm going to do? Get out. No. So it's all that back and forth, couldn't be told what to do. And, I would just get bored. And, they'll be like, go to the front office. I'm running, literally running around the school, just like showing out.
Did they ever diagnose you with ADHD?
No. My mom diagnosed me with he needs a shot of Mr. Leather. That was her belt. And so if there was ever a question of what I had, it was the need to have Mr. Leather come and meet me. So so middle school I was just buck wild, did a lot of craziness, and so my parents came to the conclusion that I needed to be with my father, which was up in Virginia, actually, Gainesville, Virginia. My dad and stepmom, they've married like in '93, so they had been married for quite a while. Love my stepmom. And my mom and dad decided that I needed to go and live with my dad. And of course, I was devastated because he and I didn't really have a great relationship. Like, he came home on holidays and, we would visit, spend a couple of hours here and there, go see his siblings, my aunts and uncles. And then he would be back out, So for me, not having that real solid relationship with my dad, like, I knew he loved me. I knew he provided for us. He was always a provider.
Big money.
But, I mean, they had a great life in Virginia, he and my stepmom, and they still do. And my mom, just kind of to kind of take a step back a little bit, she had rheumatoid arthritis. So my mom medically retired when she was 33. She used to work for the state of Georgia out at YDC. So, she was a tough one,
Bad kids.
Oh God, yes. And she was tough. Like, she was hardcore, right? And then the arthritis just kind of really took over. She started having hip replacements in like her early 30s. So like literally 33, she medically retired and was on 100% disability, from then on. So she couldn't really discipline me like she probably needed to, what I'm saying? I mean, I got away with a lot. Dad, on the other hand, definitely a disciplinarian, but he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Because he lived so far away. So when they decided that I needed to be in the house with him, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm about to die.
What was that like? How long you lived with him?
So I lived with them from 7th to 9th grade. So I actually started high school in there, and that's a funny story of how I made it back to Georgia in just a second. But so I went up there 7th grade, middle of my 7th grade year. So this would have been like 98-ish. And I stayed up there through first semester of 9th grade, 2001. So while I was up there, actually the experience was great. It was exactly what I needed. And I always tell people when they ask about my successes in life and so forth, it was literally me moving to Virginia with my dad that changed my entire life. Like, it showed me a different way of life that I wasn't accustomed to here in Augusta. You know, I mean, we lived pretty much check to check. Like, I mean, we didn't struggle to where I was wearing hand-me-down clothes and we didn't have food to eat. You know, we weren't in the projects. We never lived in, you know, in the projects or, you know, in the bottom. You know, we always literally lived, you know, uptown suburbs, you know. And so, but it was just enough to get by. You know, like, we didn't just have, you know, money to just go and buy J's. Like,
this is Virginia you talking about?
No, this is here before
Augusta.
going. So for me, leaving from the atmosphere of having, you know, just enough.
Just getting
you
by.
know, to going up there. And I mean, I'll never forget one of the first things that happened when I moved up there, because I was literally boohoo crying. Like, me and all my friends here in Wood Lake, we were literally, I'll never forget the day we were outside. My daddy was like packing. This happened in a day. This decision was made in one day. Like, it was, you know what? Pack it all up. So, you know, I'm 12 years old, and I'm like, wait, what's happening? You know, I'm going with this in my eyes. It was like on what's the movie, Tales from the Hood or something, where no, Tales from the Hood, like where the guy was like abusive to his stepson or something. And the boy, so to me, that was who my dad was. He was like the monster. I was like drawing him on paper, like, I'm a cat, you know, I'm balling up the paper like, he won't die, you know. So to me, like, he was the worst guy ever, you know. But of course, later in life, I realized it was all out of love. But like, you sending me up here with him? Like, you don't even like him. You know, to my mom, I'm like, you don't even like this dude. You know, why are you sending me? You sending your baby boy? Like, I'm a mama's boy, you know?
Trying to bargain now.
Yeah, I'm like, no, don't do this. Don't do this if you love me. I promise I'm going to behave, you know? So, send me to school right now. I apologize to everybody. Dr. Fur, Miss Gandy, everybody, Morgan Rowe. I love y'all. So, no, this day, literally, pack it all up. And he literally threw it all in his Nissan truck and, like, tell your friends bye, son. We got to go. So I was like, no. Like, it was like, me and you shall never part. You know, we didn't have Facebook back then. You know, MySpace hadn't even really came out. So I'm like, what are we going to do? We were trading Pokemon cards yesterday, and today I'm saying goodbye. It's so hard. So, you know, packed up literally that day, moved to Virginia. Gainesville, Virginia at that. Never heard of that. I've heard of Richmond. I've heard of St. Petersburg, you know, Gainesville, Virginia. And I soon found out that it was like a brand new town. Like, literally, like,
never heard of it.
It was all woods. They, you know, started building houses. So anyway, but I'm talking $500,000 houses. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So to leave from here, you know, and go up there, it changed my life instantly, because I'll never forget, like, the first week I was there, my stepmom took me to Bank of America and opened up a bank account for me and a savings account. And she was like, you know, while you're here, you're going to, you know, get an allowance, you know.
What?
You're going, you know, you're going to earn your keep and, you know, this, that, and the third. And I want you to save your money and this, that, and the third. And, you know, to me, who I always felt that I was advanced, like, I was always smart, you know, with technology and just all those things. And so, you know, computers and stuff like that. Like, I was an intelligent child. You know, I wasn't, I don't think, challenged enough. And then I wasn't disciplined also enough here in Augusta. So going up there, it was instantly like, oh my God, like, wow, all of my neighbors are white. And the few black neighbors that I did have were white. So, yeah, so, and in theory, like, to me, they were acting white, you know, because at that time, they talked like the people that I would hear my grandma and my aunt say, oh, they talking like them white folk, you know. Yeah. I didn't know what that meant, you know, so to me, that's what that was. And so to go there, and I'm like, when I'll never forget, you know, seeing that first black boy riding down the you know, the street on a bicycle, and I was like, oh, I got friends here. Like, he looks like me, you know. And I walked up and I was like, what's up? And he was like, looking at me like,
dude.
First of all, you tall. I've always been super tall, like, right? So he looking at me like, you know, who are you? You know. I was sounding super country, you know. I think I lost my accent sometime around there time. You know, I don't have a real Southern accent, you know, even now, I don't think. But he was looking at me like, you know, no, you don't belong here, you know. So I was like, oh no. I just failed, you know, so I'm like the monster daddy in the house, you know, this dude out the door, I'm thinking he a brother, you know, yeah. And he's talking about Pokemon cards. I'm like, wait a minute. You know? So, you know, it was a culture shock. It really was. But when I tell you that those kids up there, they didn't allow me to misbehave in school. they didn't allow me, to be, anything like I had been here in Augusta. Like it just wasn't tolerated.
But you still funny there? Oh, Joe was
and I was, but I struggled at first because like, the things that I thought was funny because it had been funny here in Augusta, that, Morgan Road wasn't funny up there.
Tough crowd, man.
Absolutely. Like, and so it was like, imagine you 12 and like your whole life, like everything about you, like you keep the crowd laughing, I mean, even the teachers here. And it's funny because, I'm sure we'll get to it, but, in recent years, I've even worked with some of my former teachers and administrators and so forth, later in life. And like, we always talk about me being 12 and 11 and like being a Hellraiser. And, they would talk about how they would just almost lose their job because like they never wanted to like punish me because they was like, I love this little boy, he's so funny, So up in Virginia, it was like I would say something like the teacher would be talking and I'd make a sound or something and the kids would be shushing me like, shh. And I'm looking around like, what? Like at Morgan Road, I would have been ready to fight, at Stonewall Jackson Middle School. It's unacceptable. Boy. You know what I'm saying? This is a top 100 school in the nation. Like, what? So the kids wasn't having it. So I had to learn that, don't try to be someone else to be funny. Just be you because who you are, people enjoy. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was kind of like the first time that I literally had to snap out of like, don't try to perform and be someone else. Like just be you and be genuine because that is the Tyrus that people like. And so, those were the best years of my life because it taught me a lot about who I am and who I wanted to be, and it didn't matter. Like nobody up there knew, my record in school. Nobody knew, how I was flipping desk and running from the, Board of Education cops through the hallways, just being a terrorist, in school, no one knew that. And so I had an opportunity to recreate who I was,
Yeah.
Culture shock. But yeah, so those are my Virginia years. What brought me back was September 11th, 2001.
I remember that day for some reason. I feel like it's real important in history.
You feel like it is? It's still not coming to you just yet?
No,
okay.
I live in New York, so I know
right.
what it was.
So September 11th, 2001, I was in my business class, ninth grade year. So we're in first semester, and then these planes started crashing, all the TV started turning to this, this tragedy and, all this is happening or whatever. So Gainesville, Virginia is about 30 minutes from DC. 30 minutes from Maryland. So it's right there. My parents actually both work for the government, for the federal government. So, Pentagon, all this, a lot of their business is throughout the different agencies. And a lot of my classmates had parents that worked, not only in the armed forces, but also at the Pentagon and so forth. And so because of all of the, the terror that was going around, like so many of my classmates were just like freaking out. Everyone was scared. You couldn't make phone calls, because so many people, was trying to make calls and stuff. And, they were jamming so many different things that nobody could really reach their parents at work. And so I was just terrified because I knew that my parents were somewhere around, they never really talk about exactly what they do at work. So, it's one of those things where, you watch TV and you like, are my parents spies? You know what I'm saying? So I was so afraid, and then I was sad because like my classmates were literally like bawling their eyes out and all of that. So, of course we made it home that day and, I'm talking to my dad and stepmom about what was, going on and what had happened. My mom called and she was like, Eugene, bring my baby home.
Government name.
Y'all got too much going on up there, they got planes crashing, they taking out government officials. And I was like, yep, send me home, Mama, I want to come home. So she literally was like, no, bring him home. My dad was like, no, it's good. We're all good. He's great. His grades are good and all this. She was like, no, bring him home. So a couple of weeks later, I was back in Augusta. And
it took your dad to get there, but a couple weeks to get back home.
Oh, God. I was so glad.
He was fighting for his son.
Well, yeah, it was like, looking back, like I said, I wish that, he would have won. Mm-hmm. I really do. My life is great as I know it, but it would have definitely been a lot greater, in my opinion. Had I stayed there, finished school and all of the resources that I had there. I mean, I was working, my dad, he was part owner in a business and, I was able to kind of work with him as well, like weekends and stuff.
Right.
Made really good money. So it was like just that taught me a lot about what was possible in life and like what I wanted to have in a way that I had never thought about being here in Augusta.
I want to touch on that real quick. What you talking about? Because I'm from a different place too, so I know down here it's a little slower, way less resources if you live somewhere else.
Right.
Do you like in your opinion, right? You would consider where you were living at up north, so to speak, right?
Right.
Okay. So, did you see like a big difference in the schooling system, just in general?
Oh, absolutely.
Between up there and then when you came back down, if it was Butler or 8th grade, 7th grade?
Well, I instantly was introduced to how different things were up there in the school system when I left the school system here and went up there because, I mean, for one, the schools are humongous. They're all huge. But the resources that were there, the equipment that we had, the computers that we had. I mean, that we had tablets and laptops and all that kind of stuff. That we had Windows 98. The big fatback computers.
Yeah.
Here up there was probably the first time I saw a flat screen monitor. I was like, whoa, what is that? I wonder if they got it bolted down. I still had the Augusta mentality. So I was ready to lift it.
Take it home.
Yeah, so but the resources were completely different. But the passion, was the same. I felt with like the educators.
Okay,
and I think that's kind of what a lot of times here locally we forget. Is that no, we don't always have the funding. We don't always have the funds, in the resources. But I think the passion for most of our teachers, I didn't see a major difference there, but definitely in what we had. And the expectations were different.
I agree with you there. I think the passion, I would say that too. The passion is probably the same,
right,
for the most part. Honestly, you might get more passion down here because of the
limited resources.
Yeah, so they have to have the passion.
Yeah.
But up there, they get paid more,
right.
So they know they're getting their bread up there a little bit.
Regardless.
Yeah. So I want to touch on that real quick because I'm doing a podcast at some point about the schooling system.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about how maybe down here then doesn't really prepare you for college, like it should maybe.
Right.
And I was telling people like up north, when I was in 8th grade, so you got in order to go to 9th grade, you got to fill out high school application, almost like college, and you get accepted to them.
Right.
You can pick the first 4 you get accepted to. So if you get accepted to one, you're just going to that one.
Right.
But if you get accepted
no
to
questions
4,
asked. This is where you're going.
You get to pick your top 4.
Right.
And the first 4 schools accepted, they stop it.
Wow.
And you go from there. But it give you a sense of filling out application, how it's supposed to work. It's just you. It's not your parents, it's just you and only information. And it just prepare you a little bit. And then you pick a school based on what you want to do. If you want to do business, it's certain high schools just for business. Certain high schools just for arts.
Wow.
Certain high schools just for engineering. You know what I'm saying? And you go from there. Like down here they have like tech prep, college prep. But honestly, to me, it's do you want to take Spanish or not?
Right.
That's tech.
And that's kind of how the electives are down here, right?
But let me tell you, the same day I met you, I ain't meet you, but the same day I saw you.
So now you're making up stuff, right? No, I'm kidding.
I didn't meet the Tyra. I just met Tyra.
Right.
But that same day she was telling me like she's like college of tech. I'm like, what is that?
Right.
She's like, you want to take Spanish or not? I was like, nah.
Right. I'm good on that.
Yeah, I'm
right.
good on Spanish. You know what I'm saying? If I knew she's more black and mild, I'd give her black and mild. I don't know.
That part.
But yeah, I'm gonna do a podcast on this. I wanted to know from your perspective,
right,
if you thought it was different. But you say the and you know a lot of teachers anyway, so the passion there is the same, but the resources are very different.
Right.
Okay, that's a good point. I don't think I made that point, so I'm glad I talked to you first because I probably would have bashed the system. Now I got to think to go and look at the resources.
I mean, but you also have to think about population. There's a number of factors when it comes to, I think, looking at the resources and stuff that's available and not available. So, but yeah, I definitely instantly realized that I was a long way from Kansas, Toto. So man. I was out there, and but it was the best time of my life.
So describe coming back. What was that like coming back?
It was another culture shock.
What happened? What was different?
Well, because I had been gone, for what 2-3 years. The things that I used to be interested in, I wasn't interested in anymore. For instance, I've said a couple of times, like
they didn't change my man Tyrus.
Well, they did, but it was for the better. Like looking back, it was for the better. And honestly, like you're kind of forcing me right now to even kind of analyze some things as to kind of why some things are the way they are now, and kind of why I'm treated the way that I am, in certain settings now, and why people view me a certain way. So when I came back, for one, I had a bank account and a savings account. My classmates at 14 didn't have that. 9th grade, they didn't have that. They weren't thinking about saving money. If your mama gave you $50, it was because we was going to Regency Mall. We were gonna go get us. We're gonna go to Montgomery Ward. We're going to KB Toy Store. But now that I'm back, mama give me $50. I'm hiding it in my mattress. Because she probably would have got me. So rest in peace, ma. So but the thing about it is, like, my perspective changed because I had experienced something completely different than I had ever experienced being home, in Augusta.
Right.
So when I came back, I was talking a little different. like literally, I think I was, enunciating and pronouncing words and, saying words, correctly and using,
speaking proper.
And I became that little black boy that was riding down my neighborhood in Virginia that was talking white, So it's funny because when I came back, like these same people that I went to elementary and middle school, I literally went to elementary, middle, and high school with the same people, like literally my whole life for the most part. Right.
Yeah.
So because of that, like these same people that I was in elementary and middle school with, like, are looking at me a little sideways, or like, you look like Tyrus, you still can sing like Tyrus, but why are you saying water? What happened to water? Like, like what are you talking about? Why are you talking? And I'll never forget somebody actually one day asking one of my friend girls who will remain nameless because I'll probably have to block her tonight.
Blocking spree.
Right, blocking spree. But she was like, why you trying to talk like that? And I was like, I'm not trying to talk like anything, what do you mean? So I had changed, and so also the way that I dressed was even a lot different. Like, oh my God. I wish that somebody would have whispered in your man's ear and was like, hey, chill out a little bit. Like, chill out. Like, cut it out. Like, pull them shell necklaces from around your neck. Like, stop wearing them Birkenstocks, bro. Like, stop putting them slits in your eyebrows. Like, bro, hey, chill. Like, we know. But like, don't do that. Like, it's all right, but like, no.
Why you have slits in your eyebrows, man?
Man, it was that time. We're talking about the same guy that. Okay, I had dyed my hair platinum one time in high school. I had, oh God, I went through a lot of changes. After I got back.
Like Cisco? The singer.
So he was cool, like the thong song. Everybody was thong, like it was cool. But no, it wasn't because of him. It was because it was different. Like I battled for a long time of seeing if I could push, trying things further and further each time and see what people's response would be. Like, would I be bashed and would I be shunned? But I never was. Like the same people would be like, this Negro crazy, but like he are crazy. You know what I'm saying? So like when I was pushing the Birkenstocks with the shell necklaces, like not just the shell necklaces, but the bracelet, the anklet, I was wild.
You were doing a lot.
Well, there was a lot going on. Yeah. So a lot changed. And then I wouldn't just wear t-shirts. Like they had to be collared shirts. This was a small period of time.
Oh, you sophisticated.
I snapped out of that real quick. Like once I was here, like 2 months, they was like, nah, like look, B, like you can't sit at my lunch table no more. Like I appreciate you and all
accept it at all.
Like but don't do that right now. Okay, like go sit over there. That's funny. Go sit with the prayer group. So so I switched it up a little bit and I snapped out of it really quick. I had to. And I got I think I got to who I am today. Because of that. But they wasn't having it.